busy right now, but I looked on YouTube and it's like it said upcoming, 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 and I'm like, okay, technical difficulties, but nobody was, screaming and hollering and running around like a chicken with their head cut off in the quantum gathering or in the infinite imaginarium or anything. So I figured, well, I went to Rumble and it was streaming there, so I went in the chat in Rumble and I said, "Hey, you're not streaming on YouTube." I also direct messaged you, but it was probably on Discord, which I tend to use a lot.
Check real quick.
I only noticed about 15, 20 minutes ago. But
I've got it right here.
I mean, maybe it's just me because I've got like old computers and stuff.
No, you're right. It's not streaming on.
Are you guys on the same Roger? On my main account, Roger Hanson, because I've got it right here.
Well, I would. I'm just looking at my notifications.
Like I'm like right on my channel, so I just double checked.
You're Roger Hanson 2731. Then
hit refresh.
Hang on.
Yeah, see if I can find headphones for this thing. I'll be back in a moment. I gotta see if I can find a set of headphones.
That's really weird.
No, you are. Just didn't receive a notification.
Okay, good.
And it's the thing here. It says live. Hang on. Give me 2 seconds.
That's how we roll around here.
Yeah, one watching. Otto, you sent us a message about just under an hour ago.
Mm-hmm.
Otto, you sent us. What was it, about 50 minutes ago?
Well, I also sometimes think I'm just looking at the wrong thing because I do that sometimes.
Things got chaotic starting out. So.
Yeah, you just said hi, hey.
Things did get chaotic. We're still trying to work on getting Robert's audio.
No, actually,
no, don't go in there.
Actually, I'm confused. That doesn't make sense.
What?
It says, did you just restarted the stream? Restart the stream?
No.
Because they say started streaming 2 minutes ago.
See what's going on here. Go to my content.
And Otto's, I can see a message from Otto about an hour ago, 50 minutes ago, but he just said started streaming 2 minutes ago.
No. Last stream besides this one was on July the 27th. That was when me and Bob Dub did the reading. So, an hour and 2 minutes.
If you afterwards, you can always re-upload something.
I'm used to dealing with this kind of stuff. It gets confusing. You know what I'm saying? So it's nothing that stresses me out. That's the power of the record button. You know what I mean? That record button is the live server. So that's what's the most important thing. Live stream is cool. It gets you views, but like I will always rely on the record. So I mean,
because when we finish in an hour and a half or whatever, just review YouTube. And if necessary, just re-upload it. Oh, what the hell?
Hey, I'm back.
Cool.
Whoa.
Yeah, okay.
Volume issues here. I think it might have something to do. Aha! Aha! Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh.
Now I see. Hmm. Yes, I have no idea how I sound. I actually am experimenting with using earbuds.
Sorry?
Earbuds. I'm not even sure if I'm
Yeah.
on my. I think I'm on the earbud microphone too.
Okay.
And I might do away with these altogether, to tell you the truth. It was just because before I was using the laptop I had out here on this back porch, but the little speakers in it just were too much for the background noise. So I was trying to get the earbuds out, see if those would work for me, and I was trying to pair them with the laptop, and it wasn't working very well. So, but I've got them paired with the phone now. They seem to work pretty well. Hi, Bob. We're here at the same time.
Hey. How's things?
That is a question that requires either Dave to answer or it's been kind of difficult. Actually, I don't think these earbuds. I'm gonna take these off and stop using them in just a moment while I try to figure out how to turn this thing off. Let me see if I have a button here. There we go. I hope that drips off. Hang on. All right.
Robert, I only need to do because you're making an awful, terrible noise.
Is it me?
No, it's Robert.
Oh, it's Robert. I'll wait until it's over.
Yeah.
Alrighty, I think.
You can't. Yeah, sorry, Robert. I didn't meet you, but yeah, it was awful.
Okay. Okay, I'll fix that. I hope that's not me.
No,
Maybe.
it's Robert. If you can't continue this, oh my God, I'm gonna have to mute too.
Reminds me of a movie once I saw. Zontar, Thing from Venus.
Sorry, I can't. Sorry, Otto.
So, Mark,
Yeah.
is the heat wave in Britain being attributed to climate change? Your side.
Well, mainstream media will always scream those man-made climate things nonsense.
They're still doing it.
I take very little of the mainstream media, especially when it comes to this subject.
Interesting. So I asked the LLM to tell me why there's been a heat wave. So it answered me that it'll research why there's a heat wave, and it will tell me how much climate change has amplified it. I said to it, did I ask you for that? Did I ask you to tell me about climate change? Or did I ask you to tell me about the... It's amazing how it's propaganda. The entire world is being propagandized. And it's...
Not all of us.
All of us.
Only if you take notice. Only if you take notice of it. But yeah.
The thing
I
is
stopped reading
that
any scientific books, papers, or journals written after 1899, and my life is
I'm
much
so
better.
sorry for you. I'm so sorry for you. That's so sad.
I've got this organized. Robert's the only one talking. My job is to record. So he's going to scoot over next to me. I'm going to give him the microphone and he's going to talk.
Yeah, I had to mute him just now because there was a lot of hiss.
It's just hissing?
Yeah, just hiss. Nothing but.
That's horrible. So I knew that was what it was. So I figured it was something like some kind of noise and everything. But yeah, we'll stand up.
That was my experimental earbuds or something.
Then whenever I have to do the readings and stuff, I'll do the readings. You can switch earphones that way. So that was just horrible. I can't believe it. Well, we're getting through it at least.
Yeah.
What's the problem?
The audio. I mean, it's.
But do you know why?
Nope.
Do you know what's happened?
I have absolutely no idea.
You're going to have to diagnose it after the show, I think. Spend some time just looking at it.
I blame it on the updates. I do not trust Windows 11 one bit. It's very deceitful. It's a corrupt freaking organization that needs to be toppled almost as much as YouTube. I've said my piece.
Yet you still use their products.
It's because they...
Linux awaits.
Yeah.
Linux awaits.
Okay.
Albeit state.
Already been to the land of Linux. I don't want to go back.
You're not a fan of Linux?
No.
Once you've been there, Roger, you can never leave. They remember you.
Yeah, I know.
They'll be back looking for you.
They try to convince you how cool it was back in the 1980s and too.
Right. The Linux kernel wasn't even created until 91.
They were nostalgic when they did it. They were thinking 80s.
Okay.
They didn't think too much but during the 80s about computers.
Hey, I don't know. If it wasn't for the... yeah, I was using computers from a fairly early age.
Well, what I'm referring to is that when you had to use a modem to hook up to the internet, okay, and they didn't have all this Windows stuff back then when it during the 80s.
Graphic user interfaces, Gem. When was Gem?
Well, the first one was the Windows 90. 90 something.
They had, things like a lot of the stuff is not that new. I know my wife was working with computers in the 1970s and 80s, and she was sending emails in 1979,
Yeah,
1980.
I've got a
So it's only within corporate. You know, it would be like their offices and the offices around the country, but it was like, oh, yeah. They had their own
But-
little internet, I guess.
Yeah, but that's
on my Mindscript channel. I've got a post looking at somebody sending an email in 82.
what is the progress of the technology from back then? The communications, how it operates, the performance of it. In what way has it enhanced from that until now?
That's a very complicated and
Well, you know, it's
I could give
interesting.
you a very long answer, but I don't think we've got enough time.
Well, no, but I mean, what 12 things that from the computer from during that time till now, in what way is it the function of the computer? In what way does it still if it's still the same or not? In what way?
Okay,
Well,
we've had as far as so-called relatively modern graphic user interfaces, we've had them since what, 84, 85, with things like the Apple Mac, or what is now known as Mac OS, the Atari TOS, the Amiga Workbench, the Archimedes operating system, but that was a bit later, 87. And even on 8-bit machines, things like Gem, that dates back to something like 84, maybe.
Okay, and when did they come out with that popcorn for the computer? What year was it that they came out? Yeah, corner or something.
Sorry, popcorn. I don't know that particular product.
Well, it's where you add like where your computer is the way it is before you add Windows into it, where it works together. It takes Windows systems, makes it compatible with the computer.
What do you mean, compatible with a computer?
Well, like the software or the programming, the codes for.
well, like Apple,
I think I
yeah,
see.
like Apple software is not going to work on a PC kind of thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
I think I see where you're coming from. Back in the 80s, all the way up to, I don't know, 94, 95, there was many different architectures, many different computer architectures. Especially in the 80s, in the 8-bit era. And depending on how you were communicating with them, between them, again, it depends on the specific use case scenario you're talking about.
you know, there were significant changes in hardware too. I mean, when I think of the kind of, you know, hard drive, nothing is actually driven these days. I mean, there's no mechanical disk, you know, zoom turning. And I remember reading a science fiction story set in the far future where they have this problem with a computer disk drive is like out of alignment or something. And this was supposed to be in our future. So, but you know, what's interesting though is a lot of
people. I disagree. A lot of people still use mechanical hard drives.
Really?
Yeah, especially in things like still in NASA's network attached storage, and mechanical hard drives now tend to be cheaper than solid state.
Really?
And also,
do they have advantages over solid state? I would have thought solid state would be the way to go, but
in theory, and this is theoretical, if a mechanical hard drive is kept in good condition, suitable condition, suitable environment, it can last. It can, in theory, last forever.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Whereas a solid state,
they degrade. I've already got one that's getting. Yeah.
I've got several posts on my Mind channel talking about this actually. I've got about 3 or 4 posts.
Yeah, but
related to this.
Yeah, but like with they're combining technology with plants, you know, where the oils from certain type of plants are being used for that oil for what's inside of I forget what you call it, but they use it for keeping the computer cooled down and all that for the energy usage. The oil.
A rare botanical,
Yeah, they put it in,
not plant-based oils.
well, they use certain type of oils. They put into it because it's cheaper, but it's effective where it absorbs the heat from the electric, but keeps the electric going.
Or maybe I know they use oils and petrochemical type things to make certain electronic components to generate a certain amount of heat.
Yeah, like
electricity passing. I mean, I'm thinking like small components, trace amounts.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, fans are mechanical devices, and motors are hard drives have motors in them.
Well,
obviously,
lubrication. Yeah,
you've got to make sure. Yes, the bearings are greased. In fact, this machine that I'm using at this present moment, and I still need to replace the fan in it because I know that the grease in the bearings is sort of running out, drying off now.
Yeah, but we like what happened on Apollo 13. Okay. Where when everything started shutting down, and on the one side where they were having power, they had to make sure they had enough power to when they enter Earth's atmosphere. They had to shut things down to where they can enter the Earth's atmosphere for the electrical to absorb electric power. Now that, but during that time, they found out when they opened up the circuitry of the board, you know, where the knobs and all that is that they found out that, well, when they turned off the power and all that, the moisture got up inside of the circuitry and all that. So they found out a way to bypass that, eliminate that, where all the circuitry in the shuttle and in the probes and all is being protected by this some kind of oil that they created.
Well, we would silicone spark plug wires, you know.
PCB.
Is my first thought.
After all, metal rusts in the right environment.
Yeah, but with this stuff, it coats it. They demonstrated it on TV. They did, where the wires are bare with no plastic on them at all. They stripped all the plastic off of it and turned it, and they had it showing. They plugged it up, and it shows the TV, the whole system, with no plastic on none of the wires. They turned on the TV and all that. They did, and they stuck their hand in this stuff. They did, and what it does, it coats the hand. The electric stays within that electric lines.
So it's an insulator. It's a spray insulator.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not missing the point. If you're stripping a cable from a rubber insulation, and you then spraying it, it's not just sort of.
Well, I mean, I think it's a demonstration.
It's
a demonstration to show. I mean, I think in actual usage, you'd spray it over. I could, if I was operating something in an extreme environment, an aircraft or a spacecraft, I wouldn't mind having that extra 10% of I'll probably never need this, but what the heck? It's a spray can, pish, 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 and there on that 1 in a million chance that I get some kind of a break in the insulation. This will make it's like a bulletproof gas tank, or a double-hulled ship.
Yeah, it coats the line. It does the electric line.
When you're a million miles from home, triple redundancy is not a bad thing. It's like.
I don't know. I carry a load of electrical tape everywhere with you.
Yeah, but that electrical. Yeah, but here's the thing: how does that electrical tape work in space? That's the problem. When it gets wet from the what do you call it?
I've never been to space. I've never tried to.
No, but I'm referring to how does electrical tape work in space? I mean,
work.
Well,
insulating tape is insulating tape.
It's so I'll stick on my bucket.
Plug in. When you tape it with electrical tape.
Did you hear anything?
It kind of faded out. I heard something about taping it with electrical tape, and then all the interesting bits dropped out.
Have you heard? Can you hear more of it?
I kind of heard some weird distorted sounds. Sounded like something from a heavy metal rock song.
Can you hear him?
Totally not.
No.
Not really.
No. At one time, they heard something about the electrical wire, tape getting wet.
Right. Yeah, no, I used to, when I was a kid, we would spray our spark plug wires down. That's back when you had like a distributor cap and spark plug wires.
Yeah.
And we changed that, and you'd spray your spark plug wires down with a silicone spray, just to keep them from, if they got damp or something, they could like short, spark over with each other.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that they would take every effort. Man, you just want to be real careful. That's one of the reasons why I don't like working out on the water. I've been to sea, and it's so permanent. Anything that happens out there is so permanent. The land, if something bad happens, well, you still can land on your feet. But, yeah, ocean's scary. Space is even scarier. I mean, I'd love to go go out into space and everything. It's a great thought, but really, if someone said, do you want to go in this really dangerous trip? It's going to be very uncomfortable. You're going to float around and you'll probably throw up a lot. But, then you'll come back, maybe.
Yeah, but okay. Can you guys explain to me, like the board, the difference between back then to today? Because why I say that for, because back then, I don't know if you didn't have all them other side things that you could add to the computer back then.
Right.
And
okay, let's put it this way: if Elon Musk ever asked me to become a computer engineer, computer technician, network deployment engineer on the moon, then I will be able to report back to you.
All right, that sounds good. Oh, before I forget, when we were discussing the satellite telephone system that Mr. Musk was talking about deploying, and we were talking about it simply not necessarily being a cost-effective kind of a choice.
Yeah.
And then I was saying, well, he's thinking in world historic terms. He's not really thinking economically. He's thinking of as a historical figure. I will be the guy to do this. But it's funny. I was my brother today was trying to call my mom, who's in the nursing home right now. She's not well, and wanted to talk to her. And he was having a lot of trouble making the call. And he could hear her, but she had a lot of trouble hearing him. And he told me that we were texting, and he said that he only has this trouble when he calls people in the States. And I've been, hearing and reading articles for years now, I'm sure you guys have too, that our cell system here in the States is rapidly degrading. It's really overworked. It's very under-maintained. I actually knew a guy that maintained cell phone towers. And he told me horror stories of how badly, not nearly enough people to do the job, places falling apart, no money for it. Everyone seems to assume that it's going to be there, which assumes some kind of a massive investment in infrastructure. But as I said to him, nobody seems to know who's going to be making that investment. So in the meantime, as
the thing about this sort of thing is it's incremental. It's less effective. I've been noticing calls drop more often over the last few years, but something catastrophic could happen, and then I will be glad to have a satellite phone. I mean, maybe he's thinking in those terms, because most people aren't really projecting a massive collapse of a cell phone structure, but it could happen, and it could happen without any bad actors or anything, simply through cupidity and stupidity, which do more than conspiracy to shape the course of history.
Arguably, a lot of UF infrastructure is not the best in the world. It's pretty poor.
Yeah,
I remember talking. I think I was talking with Nancy back along, and we were talking about bridge infrastructure.
Oh, yeah. That varies a lot from state to state and jurisdiction to jurisdiction. Here in New York, they have actually very strict bridge laws. So they're always working on bridges, because I think they had a bridge collapse some time ago. So now there's like all kinds of regulations about it. But one thing I noticed when I was out in California, the roads were in some of the most horrible condition I'd ever seen. I mean, things marked as a major highway I'm driving along. And I mean, I drive in Vermont. The roads in the Vermont mountains are better and wider than some of these California roads. The potholes and the amount of garbage I saw on the side of the road, I was shocked. I mean, I complained about the state of New York, but they would not allow a quarter of a ton of like produce to be scattered. And I think part of it is they have these huge open produce trucks, and they go around the exit corners, and oranges and lettuces and things just fly off the trucks, and they sit there, and then people add to it, of course, because after all, that must be where you dump your garbage. So it varies a lot from state. The infrastructure in California that I saw was horrible. I mean, I deliberately rented a 4-wheel drive pickup truck just to be able to drive over the roads out there.
Arguably, Los Angeles meant to be one of the most rat-infested sort of hellholes in the entire US.
I never went to LA, and it's true. I must add, California is a very large state. It's very varied. I was mostly in the Central Valley kind of area place, and went up to Mount Shasta up in the more northern, and back down the coast. But stopped in San Francisco. Did a couple of things there, but it was I'm sure that there are better and worse places there. But just what I saw, I was just a little shocked at because I was driving a lot, because I was thinking, drive around New York State. It's like, oh, look at these crappy roads. Actually, our roads are pretty good. And it's actually slightly more expensive to live in California than New York. I found a state with higher prices. It's like, if you go from California to New York State, actually New York State doesn't seem so bad. So the trip was probably worthwhile just for that.
But it's just the entire point of it. What taxes are being spent upon? Are your taxes being spent on maintaining infrastructure?
That's the thing. I don't mind. I mean, yeah, you're going to be taxed. It's part of the social contract. Okay, I'll kick in some money. Maintain my roads. Right, defend the borders, and I think we do need a certain amount of social safety nets. Social programs are not socialism. Every sane country has. You know who started social programs? I bet a lot of you guys know. Prince Otto von Bismarck, one of the most reactionary, backwards-looking guys in the universe. Thought, it's a pretty good idea to give people feeling like they're invested in what's going on with the state, and then maybe they'll vote for me. Because he was also very pragmatic.
I'd say I think me and Roger has discussed Bismarck and social programs on a previous stream.
Yeah, but that's my point about. Yeah, but that's what I was pointing out. A person like that, he thinks in terms of,
You're
gone, Robert.
Huh?
We lost you there for a second, dude.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You were saying about Bismarck.
Well, what I was referring to is that the person, his way of thinking of what be good for everyone, be good for him as well, because he
Right.
created all that, knowing that if you want to get the point across, everything about what he was wanting, what he stands for, and all that is by creating and doing that. But then he always made sure that he knew what he was doing beforehand, to where whatever, and to where he wanted it to lead to a certain thing in a certain way.
Yeah, well, I think he definitely had his own reasons. I mean, he wasn't. I think part of him was he really did. He was like an old farmer. Really, he was like the old landed farmers, and they had this feeling of like you took care of your guys. Your guys worked for you. You took care. That kind of a boss.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't a nice guy, but
Well,
he had that feeling. So I think part of it was, yeah, you kind of got to give back because they didn't have the agricultural laborers anymore, right? These were like the guys working in factories, which was like a whole different ball game. He didn't have the social safety net, but he also, though, he was in a political situation. I forget when he did it, with like the 1850s or something. This came out, but it was like in the 1848 changed everything in Europe. They had all those revolutions and stuff. Socialism was definitely on the table. And this for him was also a way of defanging the socialists, because they were saying, look, the only way you're going to get any decent worker benefits is if you kill all the bourgeoisie. And he's like, or, we can just raise your wages and give you decent benefits because after all, we can afford to, and you guys are making us a lot of money. And most guys are just happy to like say, oh yeah, I just want a decent job and be able to own a home and provide a good home for my family. And I'll skip, running through the streets with a bloody sword. That, most people don't want to do that. They really don't. And when push comes to shove, it's so yeah. So he had a lot of reasons for doing that, but it was a good thing. And I mean, I think that they gave you the pension. They gave you a pension, but you had to be 70 years old to get it. You know how many people in 19th century German industrial working conditions lived to be 70 years old? I don't think they were paying out a lot of pensions at first.
Well,
I'd like to look up the life expectancy.
I wasn't very long.
Could be earlier, so it could be 50.
Probably 50, 60, yeah. But if you could make it to 70, you were set.
Not very much. Starting to come in a little bit. I found out some of the problems that were going on here. It's pretty messed up, but I've gotten it to where his computer can actually hear. It's just he can't talk.
Right.
But it's not like it's clicking out.
Okay.
Yeah. This mic.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of popping.
Yeah. It's just this mic is done for. That's the best way of saying it.
So I'll replace my microphone then.
Yeah. Now I can do troubleshoot sound problems, but it's
actual hardware problems.
yes, at one point he decided it's smart to twist his cord, and now
Sorry. You're fading in and out and a lot of popping.
yeah, I know. Thanks for the feedback. I'm gonna mute this out here, but I just wanted to let you know I've been doing some tests on it.
Yeah.
I can hear you real clearly right now. Sound good.
Yeah, I can hear you, but you're fading in and out, and also there's a lot of popping on the mic, so I wouldn't use it for the moment.
Oh, that's
For you.
as long
Yeah, I'm hearing a little static, but that could be someone moving a microphone around.
Yeah, they were. But here's the thing: who owns the towers? Okay, because I heard that all the companies. Yeah, there's one person that owns the towers, because they.
Actually, in the US, there's four. It's four companies, isn't it? AT&T, T-Mobile, a T-Mobile subsidy.
What are their prices to other companies?
I have to go back. Hang on, I can tell you.
My buddy Brian were here, he would have the whole thing. So Brian just has all that weird telecommunication stuff at his mental fingertips. But he has kids tonight, so.
Yeah, I have as well. Another post on this. In my mind, and I'm just going back to it. If my search function ever worked correctly. See.
Because the U.S. Congress told them that they can only be all the cell phone companies have to run all their phone services through all them towers. No company can own their own tower. They have to build their services within their own in all them towers.
Okay, I've found it. AT&T Inc., Sprint Corporation, which is a T-Mobile US Inc. subsidiary, T-Mobile U Inc., which is a Dutch telecom AG subsidiary. So you've got AT&T, you've got Sprint, you've got T-Mobile, and you've got Verizon.
Okay. What do they charge? To other companies, what I'm referring to. Because
data is probably not publicly available.
Well, not so much data, but the
contracts in between those companies.
Yeah, because they all had to pay something to have access to the towers.
Yeah. I'm guessing. I really suspect that data wouldn't be publicly available.
Yeah, but well, because I was just curious.
Internal pricing structures.
Yeah, because I was just curious, what would be the terms of what kind of terms does other phone companies got to deal with having their system through the towers?
Again, there would be internal contracts.
Well, yeah, but I was
again not publicly available.
Yeah, but wouldn't the law of the U.S. they would because well, yeah. Well, no, what I was referring to.
When it comes to things like that, then you've got to consider that companies are big lobbyists.
Yeah,
lobbying companies as well. When you talk about US laws in relation to this, then you have to talk about lobbying and money exchange.
Well, I was wondering, yeah, but
alleged corruption.
Yeah, that's fair. I was just curious. Well, what I was referring to is like
I just don't want you to get sued.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like T-Mobile, they got sued as well too because of they wasn't holding up to their contract with people that ordered wireless internet, and they didn't hold up, and a lot of people took them to court over it. And that's the thing. How does the cell phone work? Because when you hook up your laptop to your cell phone and run the internet through your cell phone through the towers, how does that work out? Would you say?
What do you mean? How does it work out? In what sense?
Well, like the process of the computer run through your phone. How does the phone takes the data from the laptop, and works it where it doesn't overpower the cell phone?
So the phone acts as a
a
As
router.
a gateway device.
Yeah.
As a router, yeah.
But how does it? What is the pro? Because don't you got to pay or do something to where the right people knows about that? You take
That'll be down to individual. Where it comes to payment, that'll be down to individual contracts.
because I was wondering about that because with
Again,
the
I cannot really say, give you a overview because contracts change from customer, clients,
but
and
how much
company and companies and companies.
is cell phone now today? What you call it? Built like a laptop. You know about the strength, the memory on how it operates compared to a laptop. The two is about evenly matched, or what?
Evening match.
Yeah, and
Again,
the
I'm not
operational,
sure what you mean?
like when you take a video with a laptop compared to a video of on the cell phone, your iPhone. Okay, or a video or a picture, or when you send it and all that, it has the same bill. It works, processes it about the same as either one.
Okay, modern smartphone is a computer.
Well, yeah, yeah, that's true.
Cellular phones.
But it is it about this? It runs about the same as a laptop. And can how it works, processes and stuff.
Again, you're talking about individual pieces of software. You're talking about individual use case processors. You're talking about. You're asking a very extremely broad question.
What do you mean?
You are asking me how, in effect, how a phone works, and phones different pieces of software.
Compared to a laptop.
Pieces of hardware.
Well, no, but what I was meaning is the operational of it. The systems.
A phone and the computers both got storage. They both got central processing units. They've both got graphical processing units. They've both got RAM. They've got bombs.
But the way they're going about it is that, cell phone is going to, in a few years, a cell phone could match to the laptop in a lot of different ways. In a lot of different, for everything what a laptop do.
Again, that's done to each individual use case scenario.
Well, no, I mean how the phone. No, I was just mean when it get constructed, the phone, when the phone gets built, the parts for the phone, as the parts for the laptop. What's the difference of it, and how does it operate compared to the laptop?
Fundamentally, there is no difference. Again, each device has got a CPU, each device has got a GPU, each device has got RAM, each device got storage.
So, like a graphics card, it has something similar like that, to where, like when you play
a general graphic processing unit. Again, when you talk about graphics cards, you're talking about big physical cards that you slot into devices. A chip, graphic processing unit.
Okay. Yeah. But what is that part that on the phone that when you talk and all that, how it takes your whatever you say, transmit it? How does that work, and in what way? Would you know anything about that?
I think doesn't it just take the there's a microphone, right? It's still the old-fashioned microphone vibrates, turns your voice into an electrical impulse. It's kind of like a telephone, but it's a radio as well. It's microwave frequency, but it's radio frequency, right? RF.
Well, yeah, like HD signal.
That's a high definition. I think that means it's more powerful.
Oh, okay.
I'm not so sure. I would argue a lot of this is just marketing sort of talk.
See, I have very little knowledge of these things. I shouldn't be inserting myself in the conversation, but I just can't help myself sometimes.
Because I was wondering about that, because you see, you always use that HD in movies, but the people, when they do talk, how it clears and all that.
Okay, so you're talking about
is the HD sound really all that wonderful? I mean, I know people that obsess about it. My one friend that you've met, Sir Brian, is very obsessive about HD. He spent time calling and recalling me and tried, this should work, this should be HD. And it's like, we've got HD. I can't really hear that huge a difference, personally, at least for the audio aspect of it.
When you're talking about HD in screen, in TVs and stuff, you're talking about the screen pixelation. What's high definition? That would be a resolution. Then that would be 1280 by 720, or we're talking about 1080p. That's 700p. So that would be the lower form of high definition in PX. Would be 1920 pixels by 1080 pixels. So it's the amount of pixels on the screen.
So that would be, but you need to have the right kind of a screen to actually be able to interpret the signal.
Yeah.
Which is how they sell you a new kind of a television. You know, that gets back to that we were talking before about planned obsolescence and things falling apart and infrastructure and stuff. And I think it's interesting that one of the things, if Elon is thinking in terms, because who knows, the can of worms that is Elon Musk's mind, we're not going to open here tonight, obviously. But the whole idea that we build up these infrastructures, and especially now in this time of change, we know that there's going to be something that's going to replace it. You know, I mean, they built up this whole studio system to make silent films. Then talking films came along. It necessitated some changes to the basic technology, but at the same time, other aspects of the old system still kind of worked. But a lot of it basically was junked. You know, the old cameras, the old lighting, the old makeup techniques. And then when color came out, it was like another whole thing. So in a sense, I'm thinking like how these cell towers were like a really amazingly advanced technology at one time. And this was just an amazing thing. Cover the Earth with these towers. Cover the Earth with this network of microwave transmitters. We won't get into that too far. But the satellites, that really does seem like a much better and simpler idea once you get past the initial investment. So could it be that one of the reasons we're not getting this sort of investment going because there's a kind of an unconscious sense, well, it's like horses and buggies? I mean, how much more are you going to spend keeping your horse and buggy up when you see everybody buying Model A's and Model T's? Yeah, it's and Mark, you worked a lot, with people that are not just the engineering aspect, but the business aspect of this. And when we were talking about Elon, the first thing you thought of was this is not cost effective, and I had to agree. From that perspective, that's not going to operate in the black anytime soon. And he's talking about putting up a fresh set every 5 years, something like that. They're like disposable satellites. But on the other hand, we have disposable lighters now.
Yeah, but here's the thing. What Elon Musk was talking about is that with every
sorry.
okay. Sorry.
Sorry, but on your point of replacing technology, that's not true up to a certain point. But in the US, cable TV is still extremely common.
Right.
FM radio is still common.
Yeah.
That hasn't changed in what 50, 60 plus, or maybe, no, I don't know how long the FM radio has been going on.
Yeah, but
50, 60. So
Well, that's interesting because now that you mention it, of course, all of these technologies overlap. They still made silent movies for a long time. After talking pictures came out, they were often shown in theaters. You'd have a vaudeville act, you'd have a silent movie, you'd have a talking movie. So yeah, there's always a certain amount of overlap, and there are always going to be people who are going to cling to the technology. A lot of people refuse to give up their horses, and why should they? Which is why it took decades and decades we still have laws on the books in some states about automobiles having to stop at an intersection and discharge a firearm or honk a horn so as to warn anyone with a horse-drawn carriage, and to slow down around horses. And we do have Amish people living, Pennsylvania Dutch as they're called, in this area. So you do see horse-drawn conveyances. That you still find people clinging to these technologies. It's true. But and Elon is going to be, because when I was a kid, I knew that there were talking pictures and I knew there were silent movies. And I just had this idea that one day they invented talking pictures and nobody watched a silent movie ever again. Kind of like they invented television, so everybody stopped listening to radio shows. Even though radio shows are still being produced to this day, people enjoy audio dramas. I listen to them myself. So, you do have that aspect, but Elon just sees, all right, cell phone towers are the past. Now we're going to have the future. And I mean, ultimately, I think, in the long term, if we don't manage to have some sort of a societal collapse or some kind of a technological implosion or something, I mean, I really see the trend towards more and more wirelessness, less and less use of resources to build these big steel towers, but instead just have a few plastic satellites in space that you replace every 5 years. Thus, at the same time, you are providing a lot of work for all those people at SpaceX. You got to keep these guys cranking stuff out.
You just remind me of the Beagles video killed the radio star. Song,
the one that they made. The first one they made played on the MTV when it first started, and when it ended, that was the same song.
Indeed.
But
it's okay to create all this technology, but unless you've got consumers that are willing to, and large amount of consumers that are willing to buy this technology, then
there's that aspect. You can't.
Three-dimensional TV was a big thing decade ago, 2 decades ago, and nobody actually really bought it.
Or laser disc movies.
Yeah. Look at that.
Never really.
Yeah, but
that's laser. They get it.
Yeah, but
that's definitely. I mean, market forces are definitely a factor.
Yeah,
and it's the people though that can buck the market forces, like Elon, and this is now moving more into quantum gathering territory. I'm thinking too about the swarm space that Mike or Quantum MG has been working on, and one of the aspects of it I thought was interesting was, and you pointed it out, Mark, he's using this P2P thingy, which is actually an older way of connecting to people on the web than it was later on that you would meet people on Facebook or this or that. Wasn't it originally more of a peer-to-peer thing? Is this a way that we're finding new applications for older techniques?
The internet, and then this is where the World Wide Web sort of got its terminology from, its name from. It's all about computers, a mesh network of computers. So in theory, I could fire up a web server here. You could fire up a web server there, and you could communicate between each other. You could fire up an email server where you are. I could do it here.
Well, better than that. Like your
yeah,
satellite, you
could
can
be something-
satellite to satellite. You know your satellite dishes.
Well, yeah, the infrastructure itself is
Yeah.
not really relevant, but the
Right.
actual compute idea of the internet is just bunches of computers. You don't have to actually use a third-party hosting provider. You can create a server or an email server or an FTP server.
Yeah, but there,
where you are.
what do you call the? There's one that you got to watch out for, because here in West Frankfurt area, we've had problems with I forget the name of that lines that's made out of fiber optics. Well, they have
cable.
yeah. People have had problems with that company here. The internet, people was their internet was being dropped. Their internet would be dropping left and right in a day's times.
So that's an issue with the company itself.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
That's not necessarily an issue with the technology. That's an issue with the company.
Well, yeah, but what that's what I was referring to is not so much. I was referring to as a company using that type of technology. They've had problems with keeping it up and all that. The company has, and with it's good to have that, but when problems do arise, and if they do not have the right people looking at it, find out what is the problem.
So they can't maintain it. It's a maintenance issue then.
Yeah, as somebody who's worked in this system administration and network deployment industry, as I have, it's all about the deployment of said infrastructure and the maintaining of said infrastructure, the ongoing maintenance.
Yeah, but what kind of maintenance?
And if you've got an engineer or a company that isn't really willing to do that, then it's the fault of the engineer or the company.
Yeah, but and what is the qualifications for that type of work? I mean, don't you have to be in fiber? Something about fiber optic.
Well, you would hope the company would hire people that knew what they were doing. I don't know that there's a federal, licensing for that sort. I've seen that with industries. I used to know a guy that was in the insulation business. This was this was like probably the 1980s, late 70s, early 80s, long time ago. And they did foam insulation. They would put foam inside retrofitting. I think this was after Jimmy Carter did that insane thing of deregulating fuel prices in the U.S. We really need to re-regulate them, but don't get me going. So anyway, everybody's heating bill suddenly went up by 10 times. So insulation was suddenly really big. So these guys were very good. They would go and drill holes in the side of your house and fill up the empty interior walls with foam. And it was it went in the liquid and became this very lightweight foam. Well, at that time, there was no licensing. There was no examinations. There was maybe one, commercial association, but they didn't have any kind of authority to enforce any kind of regulations. So this guy I knew, his guys were well trained and they only used quality stuff. But he said, you get these fly by night guys. Suddenly insulation was big. So suddenly you had a garage and you did insulation, were a plumber and you did insulation. You could buy a barrel of this resin and it had a shelf life. And if somebody calls you up and says, I want you to insulate my house, and it's a $3,000 job, you don't want to spend another $1,000 on resin. It's only 5 weeks out of date. We'll just use that stuff. Well, walls blow out, things start smelling, stuff doesn't cure, all kinds of problems because it was just the industry was regulating itself for a while. There was a lot of wildcat, I guess you'd call it. operations. So you've always got that problem. You've got to make sure that you're hiring people that know what they're doing. And I imagine in the fiber optics industry, there's some sort of, it's very expensive kind of a, seems to me, business. I wouldn't hire some idiot off the street.
Yeah.
Well, these days you never know. It's like, well, let me see, our DEI office wants to talk to you.
Yeah, but I was wondering, how does that work when you're running like a TV? I know that it has to go. It's like a different type of format or something, where like you're for TV and radio signals going through.
That I don't know. I don't know much about television or anything like that. What I do know is I do not think that Mike is going to be joining us tonight, unfortunately. And I was kind of holding off doing any kind of a script thing. However, we do have a script, but unfortunately, I think it's kind of something that depended upon Mike being there.
This is the one
although
that
not necessarily.
This is the one that you modified.
Yeah, I did a little editing. Let me see where it is. We could still do it. I mean, we can always do scripts. See where it is.
But I was wondering, how does
we have got Bob Dub. Hi.
How does Blu-ray work with the voice?
Bluetooth?
I mean, yeah, Bluetooth, because they have such a good color and all that. What is their process? Would you say?
Blu-ray is nothing more than optical discs, nothing more than DVDs or CDs. Optical discs.
Yeah, but don't
a laser goes over grooves.
Yeah, but I mean, Blu-ray. How does Blu-ray work? I mean, when it takes the information, like the video or movie, and when it breaks it down and puts it on the TV, does it do the same thing with noise?
Yeah.
In what way does it?
You're asking a very complicated, broad question, and I could go into talking about codecs and light waves and all kinds of different elements.
Light waves are cool.
Again,
yeah, but how does Blu-ray? Does
go into a load of physics?
Well,
and it could take whatever.
Well, does Blu-ray have its own color
do a show
code?
about it. Maybe that's something that needs its own show.
Yeah.
Because there are some interesting things that we could look at there. But yeah, maybe not right now.
But I was I was just wondering, because with Blu-ray, since
hang on a minute, Robert, we're running out of time.
Oh, okay.
I've got another 8 minutes or so.
All right.
Sorry to interrupt you, but Mark, before we wrap up today, I really wanted to ask you if you said last time when we talked about the swarm space that you thought that the terms of service needed more investigation.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you more about what you meant by that.
I still need to review it. I know I've been meaning to, but just not really at the time. But I just need to review it and then come to some conclusions.
Okay. So why does it need looking at? What are the things that you are concerned about? Like, I don't know what to be concerned about. So you obviously have things that you'd like to investigate, and I'd kind of like to.
I think the best thing for me to say at this present moment is for me just to really review it and then think about it and then come back on the
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You would like notice of that question.
Okay.
When it comes to these sort of they can become complicated, but unless I actually spend some time reviewing it, it's one of those sort of difficult
And do
questions.
you know what a private server is, Mark?
Private server could mean a number of different things. It could
Yes.
mean you are actually having a physical server that only you can access, that is stored in your basement.
Okay. So an
It could
actual
be
box.
yeah,
Okay.
box. It could be a virtual host on some data center that you got a contract to.
Right.
Um,
No, I don't think it's those. I think it's something in the swarm space. What we've been doing is we've been using Firefox because we get 10 gigabytes of data storage in the browser. And so to do this peer-to-peer experiment that we're trying, that was enough, right? But now we want to go bigger, and we want to see how much we can do. So I've got something called a private server on my machine, which can link 100 gigabytes of storage to the swarm space.
So you've got a physical space on your own device, some on your SSD or your hard drive, that is
Yes.
being used specifically for that purpose.
Okay, so it's as if there's a folder, right?
Yeah,
There's a
yeah.
folder for swarm space stuff.
Yeah, I presume
Okay.
for professional.
So do I have to find where that server is and save my files to that file?
I guess so, but again,
Right.
without looking at the actual how it's been
Okay.
used, again, I'm just
All right.
guessing. So
Okay. Awesome. Thank you very, very much for letting me pick your brains.
again, I will try and, as soon as possible, I will try and read these terms of service agreements.
Well, I know you're really, really busy, so I don't want to put anything on you.
I read a lot of terms of service agreements all the time.
Dog.
What
What up, dog?
Hey.
Holla, holla.
The whole reading contractor agreements.
Well, I think that I will love you and leave you then, guys. And thank you for a lovely show. It was lovely hanging out with you again this afternoon. And
Sure.
Oh,
happy.
if we're going to be leaving, then you should give your socials first as we close this edition of the Quantum Gathering. Bob, why don't you give your socials so that people can learn more about you and your work?
Okay, thanks, Otto. So I hang out on minds.com. My username there is BobDub. I'm also in Swarm Space, the lovable app. And I have videos. And I have videos on YouTube under BobDub channel and also under Sloppy Joe videos. So my Sloppy Joe is all my AI generated slop, right? And I love it. It's my favorite game in the whole world. And so I've been putting the Dude Where's My Wallet little songs that I've made and the episodes there on Sloppy Joe, because this is the most amazing and wonderful and fantastic time in history. There has never been toys before in the history of mankind like they are now. And if we don't play with them, we will miss out, and we'll look back in 3 years' time and say, gee, look at that opportunity, and it just slipped past. But no, not here on the Quantum Gathering. Here we are seizing the day and grabbing the bull by both horns and living at the cutting edge of technology and playing with the most extraordinary and exquisite tools that there have ever been. So thank you to Quantum for all he does for us and with us to bring these products to this little community so that we can experiment with a new way of communicating, a new way of playing and making our own TV, where we don't receive the data, but we actually generate the data and we have this conversation among each other. So it is my very, very great honor to know you all, gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me. And I will see you in the chat.
Thanks
Bye,
very
guys.
much, Bob. And that is Sloppy Joe J.O. I would advise checking out her videos. They are wonderful. Well, and she's gone. All right. Well, Lord Edworthy, why don't you go next then? And please give your social so people can contact you and find out more about your good work.
In fact, we were talking about Sloppy Joe just before we started, and we were talking about a video that Bob Dub released within the last day, based upon one of what was it, last week's or the week before's script.
I think I might have seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, my own social media, mind.com under the username Medworthy.
Ah, short, sweet, and simple.
Indeed.
All right, brothers Hanson, Roger, would you like to give yours and Robert's contact information, or Robert could give yours and Robert's contact information if you like?
No, I'm actually on the phone, so I was able to put Jitsi and Elements onto the phone, so don't.
Okay.
I mean, so we probably can have a backup if we need it from now on, but
Cool.
Excellent.
If you want to get in touch with us, you can contact us at Roger_Hanson. You can also contact us on Element Meatrix at Roger's Hangout and at the Quantum Gathering, as well as Infinite Imaginarium. I'm on X, Roger Hanson at ROGLOL1973. That's it.
Okay.
Well, that's enough. Well, it has not been the kind of quantum gathering that I expected, but it was an excellent one all the same. I think we did cover some very interesting topics. And unfortunately, some people didn't show, but the important ones did, I think. And we're all here now. And Bob, of course. So thanks, everyone, for being here. My own socials, that's right. I should give those. You can check out my website at navakavada.org. That's NAVAKAVADA. It's spelled just like it sounds. I'm also on minds.com. Otto_X is my username there. You can check out the Navakavada channel on YouTube or Navakavada Buddhism on BitChute, that bastion of free speech. Otherwise, you might very well find me where you might find Lord Edworthy or Roger, or down at the corner, or, I might be talking with Robert about Buddhism, which I mean to do very soon, as I can. All right, all you guys, you have a great evening. Thanks, everyone. Please like, comment, subscribe. Lots of comments. We need comments. Comment. We will respond to every comment as long as they are in good taste. Otherwise, we will ignore them with dignified silence.
You spit upon me.
Roger's in charge of the dignified silence. So, all right, thank you, everyone, and good night. Good night. And what do I always say? I say good night, Lady to Wessex, wherever you are.
There you go.
There, cut.
There you go. I understand. I just received a message from you, Roger, on Element saying your identity was reset. Hence, I presume that was your phone then.
Yeah, what it was is, in order for me to do this without having to do a security thing, I had to reset everything.
Okay.
And that might actually be beneficial, because that means I can actually go in there and maybe post some pictures and videos. Like, I don't know.
Remember to save your encryption key.
Yeah, it has an option on these phones to where you can actually save it on the phone. So
then copy the file over to something that you know that you're going to keep. That just going to be permanent.
yeah, we got that straightened. I'm going to
Oh.
get off this phone thing so it doesn't drain the battery too much, and then I'll go in there. It's still streaming. I stopped the recording, and I'll go ahead and end the stream too. So that was a really weird night.
Oh, I've had a very strange day. We've had really horrible torrential rain and downpour, and Bob was worried. You know, Mike's not showing. I said, if he had weather where he is, anywhere like we had weather here. We had flooding. We had power lines. I was driving around today. There were lines down. I had a small tree fell across the end of the driveway where I'm staying. I had to clear it away. I'll post the image in the element chat. But yeah, so I figure he must have a lot of cleaning up to do because he does yard work. You know, he's a groundskeeper, so it's like,
Yeah.
I'm sure he was really tied up with that stuff. And I had to do all kinds of stuff, and my mom hasn't been well. I went out to the nursing home and had to talk to their medical people out there. And on the way back, my car broke down. Check engine light started blinking, and the car suddenly wouldn't go over 20 miles an hour. So,
Oh my God.
so I think what it is it's a bad coil. So it's giving the car a reading that one of the spark plugs isn't firing. So the car suddenly goes into this emergency mode where it won't drive very fast. So what I can do is turn off the ignition for a few minutes, turn it on, and then it'll run for a little longer. So I got to call my mechanic up first thing tomorrow. I already took today off of work so I can see my mom. So it looks like I'll take another day off of work, which of course is problematic since I need to work in order to pay for the car repairs that I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of catch-22. I'm half tempted to even just try to make it to work in the back. I don't know. I'm going to call up my mechanic in the morning, see how soon he can take a look at it. I'm not sanguine about him being anxious to do it on a Friday at the last minute, but I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, weird day for me too. It's just been very, very odd. So.
Well, I hope things work out, man, because I know you've been going through a lot. Yesterday you had tire problems. I know that. And,
oh, geez. That was the other thing. You know, I brought it in to get the, I brought it in to get the oil changed. And I needed the headlight bulb changed. And he had it up on the lift, and I just went under the lift, and I'm like looking, and I had replaced the front tires like a few months ago so it could get inspected. Back tires were okay back then, but I'm looking at them like, oh, they're starting to crack from dry rot. And I look at the one, and it's on the inside of the sidewall. The crack, I should have taken a picture. It was like 2 inches long, and crack peeled back so you could see all the belts underneath. And I'm like, oh, I'm driving directly to the tire place, and they couldn't get anything till 3:30. And I had only so I fixed it, ran out to see my mom. I could only spend like 10 minutes because I had to get back here to feed the dog. And, it was like, but I was able to go over there today. I was able to sit. I spent a lot of the day with her, and I had a good talk with the medical people there. It's good they know family is interested, very good in those places. They know somebody's showing up there and asking questions and being concerned and stuff. So. And she did seem a little stronger today, so I'm crossing my fingers. Have to see. So, yeah. Well, they've had her on antibiotics for a while now, and that should be working on that infection. I think that's what's mostly given her the problems. But, but anyway, gentlemen, I got to go and get some sleep. Really beat. It was great working with you guys. I definitely do want to. As soon as I get some time, I'll be around more often. And I really want to do that show with Robert. I'm thinking maybe we'll do that. Let's try to schedule it this next Tuesday, and maybe we can make it an automatic pilot episode. We'll keep the Buddhism thing going.
That'd be cool.
It'll be, and then that way we can introduce the idea of maybe having a guest on every so often. Not every time, but every third or fourth show, maybe have someone come on. I'd like to get my buddy Panibasa on. He's got a new job now, so he has weird days off. And him and me and Numa are supposed to do a talk about the Old Testament. I don't know, Raj, if you saw, we were talking about how, that Gomurkan guide redates the Pentateuch 40 years, which changes everything, It's like, so yeah, we're supposed to do something about that. We've been trying to schedule that for 3 months or 4 months now. So that's
I'm
that.
I'm also talking with Robert. There's some things that I noticed you got your attention. It caught your attention when it comes to like plants and exposure to radiation and stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Cold temperature. We're going to be working something out where we're going to be doing that, and I still have to do something with Mark concerning global warming because he's really on this global warming.
Okay,
There,
I'm not on to this global
there's this
warming.
guy called Mike Nelson, I think his name is. He's got this website. Oh, I'll have to find it. But he used to put out all these weird scientific papers and patents, like non-traditional weird science. And I was just thinking that would be a good source to dip into for like information on stuff like radiation, radiotherapy, strange effects.
Okay,
You
yeah.
know, these guys do like odd. Well, like this one guy, I'm trying to remember. Like he built a greenhouse, and he found that if he put in the roof of the greenhouse panes of blue and red glass, he would increase crop yield. Not by much, few percent. It's weird.
Okay.
It's different, and it does actually work. And I mean, of course, now we know a lot more about like infrared and ultraviolet. This was some guy in the 19th century or something. But just yeah, and guys like Tesla technology, and a lot of other guys who were playing with ideas back then. But I'm babbling, and I got to go. But yeah, definitely.
Sure.
There's a lot to talk about there. I'd be really interested.
Okay. So let's get off here and we'll talk about this later because you gotta get some sleep, man.
Yeah, I do. You can tell I'm fading out. All right, take care, gentlemen. Have a great night.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Yeah.
So